Whenever you're ready.
I think that we can all agree that when a criminal commits a crime, he should not be able to just get away with it. All criminals are liable for what they do. All crimes and crimes only should be punished rather than try and rehabilitate, because rehabilitation is not going to suffice for everything. Not necessarily talking about addiction, but just crimes, they should be punished, in my opinion. But prison is the method that we would use today to punish criminals for any crime that they commit. And prison does four things. It protects us, as in us, our family, and our friends. It punishes criminals, and it prevents deviance, and it has some other benefits along with it. And today I'm going to talk about how exactly it protects us, our family, and our friends, how it punishes, and how it prevents deviance in the first place, along with those other benefits. This brings me to my first point, which is that prison is actually good for us. According to Morris Hoffman, we can and should argue about whether there are too many Americans in prison, but the position we take on that issue should not be driven by misguided feelings that punishment is wrong. What I'm getting at here is that sometimes we forget that prison can actually help us in a big way because it protects us. Because when a criminal is in prison, they can't hurt society anymore. All crimes are punishable by prison. There's no limitation on what is and is not able to be punished. Whereas with rehabilitation, it's best for addiction rather than crime. Criminals cannot hurt society in a cell. Like I mentioned before, when a criminal is in a cell, they can't hurt society. This is why our prison system has increased in size, because our government leaders and people in high positions in control of our prison system have realized that it helps society in a big way. According to an article written by Peter Benikoff and Alida Merlot, quote, "Since 1990 alone, the number of prison and jail guards nationwide has increased by about 30% to more than 600,000. That's a lot of guards. Prison can also prevent deviance in the first place, because before a criminal commits a crime, no matter how conscious they are about what they're doing, it does run through their head, what's going to happen to me when I commit this crime? And Greg Dobbs, a journalist and a professional public speaker, says, quote, "Incarceration is society's retribution for violating society's laws." And that's the exact thought that would go through that criminal's mind, is that maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I don't want to go to jail. And criminals know what they are doing is wrong. According to James Wilson, the increase in our prison population has driven down crime rates by 25%. And that's just because of those thoughts that are going through their head. They're just like, well, I don't want to be in there with all those guys. Other benefits of prison include prison labor. Something that people might not know about prison is that when you're actually in prison, you can do labor in there, and then you can get your sentence possibly shortened. And then on top of that, the government benefits from this because they don't have to hire out some of the work that they could have prisoners do. And that saves them money, and it saves the prisoner time. And according to Robert Atkinson, prison, quote, when viewed from a growth economics perspective, where the goal is to maximize national productivity and the output of goods, prison's a good thing for the government and for criminals. Overall, prison can keep us safe, prison punishes criminals, and prison can prevent deviance. It's got the other benefits of the prison labor, and what I'm asking everybody to do is just ask yourself, maybe rehabilitation isn't always the right answer.
So, like, in your personal opinion, do you feel that those who go to prison for, drug-related issues should go to rehab, or should they go to prison?
I think that really depends, because if they're going to jail on drug-related issues, it's different different if they have an addiction. I feel like if they need help, they should get help. Prison is not the solution for them if they have an addiction. That is where rehabilitation would be better than prison.
How can prison help those who are in for life? They'll never receive the light of day. Whatever they do, it won't reduce their prison sentence.
Well, when you think about it that way, that's more of something that where prison would help us. Because if that person is in there for life, they did something really bad, and we don't want to be in danger from that person.
Did you find any certain percentage of people who were helped by going to prison?
I don't have a certain percentage on who would be helped by going to prison, but I can tell you that as far as like I mentioned, the other benefits of prison where they can do labor and things like that and get out earlier possibly. Majority of people will actually go that route just because they realize that it's a good thing for them.
Okay, so I don't have you, but I have a question. So people who are like really against rehabilitation, how do they feel about people who are found like not criminally responsible, like due to mental health issues? Do they feel that rehabilitation still applies to them?
People who are really against rehabilitation would think that it's just, would consider it to be irrelevant, but a lot of people who are still advocating for prison will succumb to the idea that rehabilitation can help in certain situations, but in the majority of them, prison is going to be the better option, just because rehabilitation can't do everything.
I don't have you either, but I'm sorry. You think that addiction should have rehabilitation, but like a lot of the other things shouldn't. But what about like someone who's a kleptomaniac, I think that's the right thing, where they just steal a ton of tiny things? Do you think that deserves, like they keep stealing things and they can't help that they're just stealing like pencil after chocolate bar after eraser kind of thing? Does that need any type of...
In that certain situation, it might be something where it's a combination of both, because you are stealing things,
yes,
and that is a crime, but I mean, if it's really that much of an addiction to you, you might need to get some help with that.
There are probably some other mental underlying issues.
Yeah.